The next item that we're going to add to our form is going to be a text area box. Text area boxes allow your user to put free-form comments, questions, or descriptions. The text area element can be configured as a scrolling text box, or if that's not necessary, the scroll bars will not display. So as usual, I'm going to start off by creating a label, and the label is just going to have a for value of message. Then I'm going to use the text area element, and we will go ahead and give it a name of message. We'll assign an ID, and like the input boxes that we did earlier, we're going to use the placeholder attribute, and we're just going to specify that they can write the message here. And then the text area box gets an actual closing tag, which is a little counterintuitive since there's nothing that it's actually wrapping around, unlike the input field, which just is a self-closing tag, but this is how it's formatted. If we save and go look in the browser, you can see that by default this is what it looks like, and it allows me to input a message or some text here, and eventually mine is pretty small, but there is the ability to scroll through. Now I can't see very much, but if I do mouse around, you can see that I can scroll through the text. Text area boxes have some additional attributes that you may want to add into your project. One of the attributes that you can pass on is you can pass on the number of rows. And if you wanted to create additional rows, you could specify. So if we create rows of 8 or something like that and save this and go look at it in the browser, you'll now see that I have much more height to be able to add information into the box. And here, if we added more lines, you can see that now the scroll box has enough real estate to be able to appear. I generally don't use this attribute though. I just pass this on via my CSS, but you might find that that's useful for you to include at some point. Let's just identify this area with a comment. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually be building an additional field set. And this field set is going to include the submit button, so I'll put the closing field set tag after my submit button. And then I'm going to include another radio field here. So we already know how to do this. I'll just place this on the page. And this is going to go before the input button. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have a label. The for attribute is going to be newsletter, and I'll just have text say sign up for our e-newsletter. I'm going to use our unordered list with a class of radio list, and I'll create a couple of list items which contain input fields. These are both going to be named newsletter and have an ID of newsletter, and the values are simply going to be yes and no, so that I can ask someone if they want to sign up for our newsletter. If we save and go look in our browser, this is what our form currently looks like. Now I am going to add a little bit more of HTML, and then in the next exercise we'll move on to the CSS. In the specific section here, I want the user to either pick a location that they're interested in sponsoring, or I want them to pick a turtle type that they're interested in sponsoring. So I am going to create a paragraph in between these two elements. So if we scroll up here, here is our select box, which contains the choices of locations, and then here is our radio button section, which contains the turtle types. In between these two, I'm going to simply create a paragraph, and I'm going to give this a class of or choice because I want to style this uniquely from other paragraphs that are going to appear on my page, and I'm wrapping the text or inside of an M tag as well. So if we save and we look in the browser, you can see that I'm just putting some text on the screen. So at this point I've built out all of the form elements that I want to include on my page, and in the next exercise we'll make this look quite a bit better by using our CSS styles.